This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. The information provided does not constitute professional career, legal, financial, or academic advice. Scholarship outcomes are influenced by a wide variety of factors including individual qualifications, institutional budgets, and competitive pools. There is no assurance that following any specific strategy will result in an award. Viewers should conduct their own due diligence, verify all application requirements with the respective scholarship providers, and consult with academic advisors or professional consultants regarding their specific situation. The scholarship committee has 400 applications sitting on a digital dashboard, and they have exactly 15 seconds to decide if you are worth $50,000 of their organization's capital. In those 15 seconds, 98% of applicants are immediately disqualified. They aren't disqualified because they lack talent, high GPAs, or impressive extracurriculars. They are disqualified because they wrote a cover letter that looks like a generic AI-generated Mad Libs template. Most students approach a scholarship cover letter as a formal chore, a hurdle to jump over. But the truth is, this single page is the only thing standing between your current financial reality and a debt-free education. If you think your resume speaks for itself, you have already lost the game. In this deep dive masterclass, we are pulling back the curtain on the psychological triggers that make a selection committee stop scrolling, lean in, and move your folder to the must-fund pile. We are moving past the basic advice of be yourself and check your grammar. We are going to deconstruct the exact narrative architecture used by candidates who secure six-figure funding packages in the most competitive academic environments in the United States. Historical trends in the American education system show a staggering disconnect between the rising cost of tuition and the methods students use to fund it. Over the last 3 decades, the cost of a 4-year degree has outpaced inflation by more than double. Meanwhile, the volume of available private and institutional scholarship money has reached over $35 billion annually. The money is there, but the bridge to reach it, the cover letter, is where the system breaks down for most people. Today, we are solving the generic applicant problem. We are going to show you how to transform from a name on a spreadsheet into a high ROI investment for the awarding foundation. By the end of this 10-part series, you will not just be writing a letter. You will be building a persuasive case that makes it irrational for a committee to say no to you. Let's look at a case study of the invisible applicant. This is a student with a 4.0 GPA, 3 club presidencies, and 200 hours of community service. On paper, they are perfect. They write a cover letter that says, "I am a hardworking student who has always dreamed of attending this university. My parents cannot afford the tuition, and this scholarship would help me achieve my goals of becoming a doctor." This letter is a death sentence for an application. Why? Because it focuses entirely on the applicant's need, rather than the organization's mission. It is a me-centric document in a them-centric world. Scholarship committees are not charities giving out handouts based on need alone. They are investment firms looking for the highest social and academic return on their capital. They want to know that if they give you $20,000, you are going to leverage that money to create an impact that reflects well on their brand. The first concept we must master is the narrative arc of investment. Every successful scholarship cover letter follows a specific psychological path: the hook, the alignment, the evidence, and the vision. Most students skip straight to the evidence, listing their grades like a grocery receipt. But the human brain is not wired to remember data points. It is wired to remember stories. We need to understand the environment of the person reading your letter. Imagine a reviewer named Sarah. Sarah is a volunteer for a nonprofit foundation. She has a full-time job, she is tired, and she has spent the last 4 hours reading letters that all start with, "I am honored to apply for the..." Your job is to wake Sarah up. You need to provide a cognitive jolt that forces her to pay attention. This is where we discuss the contrarian opening. Instead of starting with your name or the name of the scholarship, you start with the problem. What is the specific challenge in your field, your community, or your life that you are uniquely positioned to solve? For example, if you are applying for a STEM scholarship, don't start by saying you like math. Start by describing the moment you realized that data modeling could solve the water scarcity issue in your home county. This creates an open loop in the reader's mind. They now need to know how you are going to solve that problem, and they realize that the only way you can do it is if they provide the funding. You are no longer asking for a favor, you are offering them a partnership in solving a problem they care about. Historical data suggests that committees are increasingly prioritizing mission fit over raw academic scores. A 3.5 GPA student with a letter that perfectly aligns with the foundation's core values will beat a 4.0 GPA student with a generic letter almost every single time. This is the alignment paradox. To win, you must do more research on the organization than you do on your own resume. You need to find their annual reports, their mission statements, and the bios of their past winners. What language do they use? Do they value innovation or tradition? Do they prioritize community leadership or global perspectives? Your cover letter must be a mirror. When the committee reads your words, they should feel like they are reading a personification of their own mission statement. Let's break down the anatomy of the first 200 words. This is the prime real estate of your letter. If you don't win them here, the rest of the page is just white noise. You must establish what we call vivid specificity. Avoid power words that have lost their meaning through overuse. Words like passionate, dedicated, motivated, and leader are effectively invisible to a scholarship reviewer. They have seen them 10,000 times. Instead of saying you are a dedicated leader, describe the Tuesday night you spent in a cold community center basement organizing a food drive that served 40 families. The show don't tell rule is the difference between a letter that gets filed and a letter that gets funded. We also need to address the financial need trap. Many students believe that emphasizing how poor they are is the key to winning. While financial need is a legitimate criterion for many awards, leading with a sob story without a corresponding success framework can be a risky move. Potential outcomes for students who focus only on hardship often include being viewed as a high-risk investment. The committee needs to see resilience, not just struggle. They want to see that you have already started the work with zero resources, and that their money will act as a force multiplier for your existing momentum. Case studies of successful first-generation college applicants show that the winners are those who frame their background as a source of unique perspective and grit, rather than a deficit that needs to be filled. In this deep dive, we are also going to tackle the formatting psychology. Most people don't realize that the visual layout of your cover letter communicates as much as the text itself. Large blocks of text are intimidating and lead to skimming. We want to utilize white space, clear paragraph breaks, and a professional font that signals high-value candidate. You are treating this letter like a high-stakes business proposal. Every sentence must earn its place on the page. If a sentence doesn't either prove your competence, demonstrate your alignment, or advance your narrative, it is a distraction that must be deleted. As we move forward in this series, we will dissect the exact templates for different types of scholarships, from the small local community grants to the massive national awards like the Rhodes or the Gates Millennium. But before we get to the mechanics of the middle and the end, you must internalize the mindset of the 1%. You are not a student asking for money. You are a future leader, a future scientist, a future artist, and a future changemaker who is offering a prestigious organization the opportunity to be part of your success story. You are the asset. The scholarship is the fuel. When you shift your perspective from pleading to offering, the tone of your cover letter changes, the confidence in your writing surges, and the selection committee starts to view you not as a cost, but as a cornerstone of their organization's legacy. This is the foundation of the masterclass. We are just getting started on the specific tactical steps to build a letter that doesn't just get noticed, it gets rewarded. To understand how to win, you have to understand the anatomy of the hunt. Most students treat a scholarship application like a generic job board posting where you throw a resume at a wall and hope it sticks. But in 2026, the scholarship landscape in the United States has shifted into a highly competitive, data-driven environment. Institutional donors and private foundations are no longer looking for the best student. They are looking for the best fit for their specific, often hidden, agenda. This is where part 2 begins. We are moving from the mindset of a seeker to the mindset of a researcher. Before you ever type a single word of your cover letter, you must perform a forensic analysis of the organization offering the money. Imagine a student named Marcus living in Austin, Texas. It is early 2026 and Marcus is applying for the Urban Innovation Scholarship, a $25,000 award funded by a major tech conglomerate's philanthropic arm. Marcus has a 3.9 GPA and has spent 3 years volunteering at a local community garden. A standard applicant would write about how they love plants and want to study biology to help the environment. But Marcus is not a standard applicant. He spends 2 hours on the foundation's website looking at their last 3 years of annual reports. He discovers that in late 2025, the foundation shifted its primary focus from environmental conservation to digital equity in urban centers. Historical trends in their giving patterns show that they have stopped funding traditional green initiatives and are now heavily investing in projects that use technology to solve food insecurity. Because Marcus did this research, his cover letter does not talk about plants. It talks about the data-driven irrigation system he built using discarded sensors to maximize crop yield in low-income neighborhoods. He aligns his personal story with their new corporate shift. He is no longer just a biology student, he is a digital equity pioneer. Potential outcomes for an applicant like Marcus are significantly higher because he has solved the alignment puzzle before the committee even opens his file. This is what we call the archetype match. Every scholarship has an archetype they are looking for: the future leader, the resilient survivor, the technical disruptor, or the community anchor. Your first step is to identify which archetype the foundation values most in 2026. To do this, you need to go beyond the About Us page. You need to look at the IRS Form 990. In the United States, all nonprofit foundations must file this public document. You can find these on sites like ProPublica or GuideStar. When you open a 990, you go straight to the section listing the grants they have paid out. Look at the names of the individuals or organizations they funded. If you see that 80% of their funding goes to social justice initiatives, and you are writing a letter about your passion for high-frequency trading, you are wasting your time. This data is the closest thing to a roadmap you will ever get. It tells you exactly what they value with their checkbook, not just their marketing department. Case studies of successful applicants show that those who mention specific past initiatives or themes found in these reports have a much higher rate of engagement from the selection committee. Once you have the data, you need to understand the selection committee persona. Who is actually sitting in that room in 2026? In many cases, it is a mix of three distinct groups. First, you have the legacy board members. These are older, established professionals who value tradition, respect, and long-term vision. Second, you have the subject matter experts. These are the professors or industry professionals who are looking for technical competence and intellectual curiosity. Third, you have the community representatives. These are the people looking for boots-on-the-ground impact and relatability. Your cover letter must have a signal for all three. For the legacy board member, you include a sentence about your commitment to the long-standing values of the foundation. For the subject matter expert, you include specific, high-level terminology related to your field that proves you aren't just a dreamer, but a practitioner. For the community representative, you include a vivid, human-centric anecdote that proves you understand the real-world implications of your work. Let's look at an imagine-if scenario. Imagine you are applying for a scholarship from a local Rotary Club. The committee is likely composed of local business owners and retired educators. If you write a letter that is too academic and full of jargon, you will alienate the business owners. If you write a letter that is too focused on profit and efficiency, you might alienate the educators. The balance is key. You describe your project as a sustainable initiative that combines educational growth with economic stability for the town. You are speaking both of their languages simultaneously. Now we have to address the 2026 digital gatekeeper. In recent years, many large-scale scholarship providers have begun using sophisticated applicant tracking systems or ATS, similar to those used by Fortune 500 companies. These systems are programmed to look for semantic clusters. They aren't just looking for keywords like scholarship or student. They are looking for contextual bridges. If the scholarship prompt mentions global perspective, the ATS is looking for related clusters like cross-cultural communication, international collaboration, or linguistic diversity. If your cover letter lacks these clusters, a human may never even see your work. You must weave these terms into your narrative naturally. This is not about keyword stuffing. It is about linguistic alignment. Let's refine this with a step-by-step detail on the mission alignment map. Take a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. On the left side, write down every requirement and value mentioned in the scholarship description and the foundation's recent news releases. On the right side, write down your specific life experiences that correspond to those values. If they say they value innovation, you don't write "I am innovative." You write about the time you had to pivot a school project when the budget was cut by 50%, resulting in a more efficient outcome. That is the evidence of innovation. The goal is to ensure that every single item on the left side of your paper has a corresponding story on the right side. If you have a value on the left that you can't match on the right, that is a gap you need to address by either reframing your experience or identifying a different scholarship that is a better fit for your profile. We also need to discuss the concept of the ROI narrative. In the current economic climate of 2026, Foundations are under increasing pressure to show the impact of their philanthropic dollars. They are looking for students who represent a high return investment. This does not mean financial return, but social or academic return. Your cover letter must answer the question: if we give this student $10,000, what will the world look like in 5 years? You are not just asking for money to pay for a dorm room. You are asking for capital to launch a career that will benefit the community they care about. Case studies of recipients of the most prestigious awards in the U.S. indicate that the winners always tie their personal success to a larger, communal success. They make it clear that their education is a tool for a specific external purpose. Think about a student named Elena from Ohio. She is applying for a nursing scholarship. Most of her peers write about how they want to help people and how they have always wanted to be a nurse since they were children. Elena takes the ROI approach. She cites a 2025 study showing a critical shortage of pediatric nurses in rural Ohio counties. She states that her goal is to return to her hometown to implement a mobile vaccination clinic. She shows the committee exactly where their money is going and the specific problem it will solve. She is providing them with a clear, measurable outcome. This level of intentionality is what separates the notice from the ignored. As we conclude this deep dive into the research and alignment phase, you should have a folder full of data, a map of the organization's hidden values, and a clear understanding of the archetypes they admire. You are no longer guessing. You are building a case based on historical trends and organizational psychology. But having the data is only half the battle. Now you have to execute the most dangerous part of the letter: the first 5 seconds. In the next part, we are going to deconstruct the exact sentence structures used to create a psychological hook that stops a tired reviewer in their tracks. We will look at why 90% of openings are failures, and how one specific linguistic trick can make you the most memorable applicant of the day. You have the research, now it is time to learn how to weaponize it. The opening sentence of your scholarship cover letter is the most expensive piece of digital real estate you will ever own. In 2026, the average scholarship reviewer at a major U.S. foundation is processing hundreds of applications through a dual-lens system. An initial AI screening for keywords and a human secondary review that lasts less than half a minute. If your first sentence is "I am writing to apply for the XYZ scholarship because I am a dedicated student," you have already signaled to the reviewer that you are a commodity. You have signaled that you are safe, predictable, and ultimately forgettable. To get noticed, you must understand the psychological concept of pattern interruption. When a reviewer reads 50 letters in a row that start with the same formal greeting, their brain enters a state of cognitive ease. This sounds like a good thing, but in the world of competitive selection, cognitive ease is your enemy. It means the reviewer is skimming. They are looking for reasons to say no so they can move on to the next file. Your goal is to create cognitive strain. A moment where the reviewer has to stop, reread the sentence, and engage their conscious mind. Historical trends in successful Ivy League and private foundation applications show a direct correlation between unconventional openings and higher advancement rates to the interview stage. Imagine a student named Chloe from Chicago. It is the spring of 2026, and she is applying for the Urban Leadership Grant. Most applicants for this grant start by talking about their love for Chicago or their desire to lead. Chloe starts her letter with this: "At 2 a.m. on a Tuesday in July, I realized that the primary barrier to youth literacy in my neighborhood wasn't a lack of books, but a lack of reliable street lighting." This is what we call the in media residential opening. It drops the reader directly into the middle of a specific, high-stakes moment. It forces the reader to ask questions. Why was she up at 2 a.m.? What does street lighting have to do with literacy? How did she solve this? Chloe has created an open loop in the reviewer's mind that can only be closed by reading the rest of her letter. Step 1 in crafting this hook is the elimination of the preamble. You do not need to introduce yourself by name in the first paragraph. Your name is already on the application header. You do not need to state which scholarship you are applying for in the first sentence. They know which pile they are looking at. Instead, you need to identify your core conflict. Every great story is built on conflict. For a scholarship letter, the conflict is the gap between the world as it is and the world as it could be with your contribution. Let's look at a case study of a STEM applicant, David from Seattle. David is applying for a renewable energy scholarship funded by a major utility company. A mediocre opening would be: "As a chemistry major, I have always been interested in battery technology and its potential to change the world." An elite opening using the technique of vivid specificity would be: "While my peers were focused on the efficiency of lithium-ion cells, I spent my junior year investigating why 40% of energy storage patents in the US fail to reach the manufacturing stage due to thermal runaway issues. This works for 3 reasons. First, it establishes immediate authority. David isn't just a student. He is a researcher who understands the industry's pain points. Second, it uses specific data points, 40% and thermal runaway, which signal to the subject matter expert on the committee that David is operating at a high level. Third, it sets up David as a problem solver. He isn't just studying chemistry. He is diagnosing a systemic failure in the industry the scholarship provider operates in. Another powerful technique is the subversion of expectation. This involves taking a common trope in scholarship essays and flipping it on its head. Most students write about their successes. High-performing applicants often write about a specific, calculated failure. For example, my first attempt at launching a community recycling program in 2025 resulted in exactly 0 pounds of diverted waste and a $500 deficit in our student government budget. This is a shocking start. It shows a level of honesty and self-awareness that is rare in 18 to 22-year-olds. But more importantly, it sets up the pivot. The next sentence must explain what that failure taught you about logistics, stakeholder engagement, or data analysis. Potential outcomes for students who lead with vulnerability followed by a rigorous recovery plan include being perceived as more resilient and coachable than those who present a curated, perfect image. In the 2026 landscape, we must also account for the short-form content influence. Reviewers are human beings who live in the same high-speed information environment we do. Their brains are conditioned for the hook value call to action structure of modern media. You have roughly 5 to 7 seconds to hook them. This means your first paragraph should ideally be no more than 3 to 4 sentences. It should be a punchy, atmospheric, and intellectually dense introduction that acts as a trailer for the rest of your academic career. Let's dive into the step-by-step details of the 3-sentence hook. Sentence 1 is the observation. Describe a specific, surprising fact or a moment of realization in your field. Sentence 2 is the tension. Explain the problem or the unanswered question that this observation created. Sentence 3 is the pivot. State how your academic path is the direct response to that tension. Imagine if you are applying for a journalism scholarship. Sentence 1. In 2026, more Americans receive their news from AI-curated feeds than from human-edited newsrooms. Sentence 2. This shift has created a vacuum of accountability where local government corruption often goes unnoticed because there is no algorithm for investigative door-knocking. Sentence 3. I am pursuing this scholarship to bridge the gap between algorithmic speed and the ethical rigor of traditional local reporting. In 3 sentences, you have identified a macro trend, a specific societal risk, and your personal mission. You have moved from a student asking for a check to a specialist offering a solution. One linguistic trick to make you memorable is the use of active verbs and the removal of qualifying language. Stop using words like I feel, I believe, I think, or I hope. These are weak words that project uncertainty. Instead, use I investigated, I built, I led, I discovered. Compare these 2 sentences. I feel that my background in rural healthcare would make me a good candidate. Versus I am leveraging my experience in rural healthcare to redesign patient intake protocols for underfunded clinics. The second sentence is a statement of fact and intent. It commands respect rather than asking for it. Historical trends show that committees in the US are increasingly looking for what is known as T-shaped skills. Deep expertise in one area combined with a broad ability to collaborate across disciplines. Your opening should hint at this duality. If you are an engineer, your hook might mention your interest in ethics or sociology. If you are a poet, your hook might mention your use of data to understand audience engagement. This intellectual cross-pollination is a high-value signal in 2026 because it suggests you are a versatile thinker who can adapt to a rapidly changing job market. By mastering the opening, you have achieved the most difficult task. You have survived the first cut. You have earned the right to have the rest of your letter read with genuine interest. But now you face a new challenge. You have made a bold claim in your hook. Now you have to prove it. In the next part, we are going to explore the body paragraph architecture. We will discuss how to provide evidence of your impact without sounding like you are just reading your resume aloud. We will look at the exact way to quantify your achievements so they resonate with both the AI scanners and the human board members. You have the hook in the water. Now we need to learn how to reel them in. The reviewer is now leaning in. You have disrupted their autopilot with a high-stakes hook, and they are curious. But curiosity is a fleeting resource in a selection committee room. This is the moment where most applicants fail by falling back into the resume trap. They think the body of the cover letter is a place to list their accomplishments in chronological order. They write sentences like, "In 2025, I was the president of the Honor Society, and I also volunteered at the local hospital while maintaining a high GPA." To a professional reviewer in 2026, this is a waste of ink. They already have your resume, they know your titles. The body of your letter is not for what you did, but for how you think and the specific measurable impact you left behind. We call this the evidence architecture. To build this architecture, we use the SOAR framework: situation, obstacle, action, and result. However, for a 2026 scholarship committee, we are going to add a fifth element: alignment. Every story you tell must be a direct proof of the mission research you did in the previous steps. Let's look at a case study of Maya from Denver. Maya is applying for a $40,000 sustainability grant in early 2026. Instead of saying she cares about the environment, she dedicates her first body paragraph to a specific obstacle. Imagine if Maya wrote this: "When I joined the Denver Youth Climate Council in 2025, I noticed that our local recycling initiatives had a 60% contamination rate, rendering most of our efforts useless." This is the situation and the obstacle. It's specific, it's grounded in data, and it shows she was paying attention to the failure points of her organization. She continues, "I spearheaded a neighborhood-level education pilot program that utilized QR-coded sorting guides. I coordinated with 3 local waste management firms to track real-time contamination data over 6 months." This is the action. Notice the active verbs: spearheaded, utilized, coordinated, tracked. She isn't a passive participant. She is the engine of the project. Finally, the result. By the end of the pilot in late 2025, we achieved a 22% reduction in contamination across 400 households, a model now being considered for citywide expansion. This paragraph works because it provides a high ROI narrative. A committee looks at Maya and sees a student who identifies systemic inefficiencies, develops a tech-integrated solution, manages multiple stakeholders, and produces a quantifiable result. Potential outcomes for an applicant like Maya are vastly superior to those of a student who simply lists climate change as a passion. You are giving the committee a preview of the type of leader you will be on their campus. You are proving that you can handle their money responsibly because you have already demonstrated stewardship over the resources you currently have. Now, let's talk about the quantifiable evidence rule. In the United States, 2026 is the year of the metric. Committees are increasingly skeptical of vague adjectives. Words like many, significant, substantial, and improved are red flags for lack of precision. If you improved something, by what percentage? If you led a team, how many people? If you raised money, what was the dollar amount? If you didn't have a leadership role with a budget, you quantify your time and your reach. For example, instead of saying you volunteered a lot, you say, "Over 18 months, I dedicated 450 hours to the North Atlanta Literacy Project, personally tutoring 12 students who saw an average increase of 2 grade levels in their reading assessments." Precision bias is a real psychological phenomenon. Historical trends in behavioral economics suggest that a specific number like 14.2% feels more authentic, and research than a round number like 15%. Use this to your advantage. When you provide a specific metric, you are signaling that you are an analytical thinker who tracks progress and values accountability. This is a massive green flag for organizations that have to report their own impact to their donors or board of directors. Imagine if you are a student like Jackson from Atlanta, who is pursuing a degree in social work. Jackson doesn't have a high-tech engineering project. He has human stories. But even human stories need the evidence architecture. Jackson's paragraph might look like this: "During my 2025 internship at the Atlanta Youth Shelter, I identified a recurring gap in post-discharge support that led to a 30% recidivism rate among residents aged 18 to 21. I developed a peer mentor transition kit that included local housing leads and mental health resources. Over a 4-month tracking period, the residents who utilized the kit showed a 15% higher rate of housing stability compared to the previous year's cohort." Jackson has taken a soft skill field like social work and applied a hard skill framework of data and results. He has proven his competence without losing his empathy. This is the T-shaped skill set we discussed earlier. He is showing that he can operate within a professional, results-oriented environment while still pursuing a mission-driven career. Step by step, here is how you build your evidence paragraphs. First, you choose 2 and only 2 major accomplishments. Trying to fit 5 stories into 1 page leads to shallow writing. Depth beats breadth every time in 2026. Second, you ensure each accomplishment mirrors a different core value of the scholarship. If they value both leadership and technical skill, dedicate one paragraph to each. Third, you lead with the outcome. This is a journalistic technique called the inverted pyramid. Don't make the reviewer wait until the end of the paragraph to find out what happened. Start with the impact and then explain how you got there. One of the most common mistakes is the transition. Students often jump from one story to the next without a logical bridge. Your transition should be thematic. Instead of saying, "Another thing I did was," try a transition like, "This commitment to data-driven advocacy also informed my work with the Student Government Association." This creates a cohesive narrative of a person with a consistent methodology for solving problems. It suggests that your success is not a fluke. It is the result of a repeatable process. We must also address the resume alignment gap. In some cases, a student might have a high-impact story that isn't on their resume because it was a personal project or a family responsibility. In 2026, committees in the U.S. are placing a much higher value on unconventional leadership, such as managing a family business or acting as a primary caregiver. If this is your situation, you apply the same SOAR framework. You describe the situation, the obstacle of balancing responsibilities, the action you took to maintain stability, and the result of your resilience. This demonstrates a level of maturity and time management capability that is often more impressive than a standard school club presidency. As you finalize these body paragraphs, you are creating a wall of evidence that makes your hook undeniable. You have moved from a compelling story to a proven track record. But there is one final piece of the puzzle that most students ignore. You have shown them who you are and what you have done, but you haven't yet shown them why you need them specifically. Many applicants write a letter that could be sent to 10 different scholarships without changing a word. This is a fatal error. In the next part, we are going to master the pivot. We will learn how to connect your past achievements to the specific future of the scholarship provider. We will look at how to research their future goals for 2027 and 2028 to prove that you are the only candidate who can help them get there. The receipts are on the table. Now it is time to close the deal. To close the deal, you must master the most sophisticated part of the cover letter, the strategic pivot. Most students treat the end of their letter as a polite wrap-up where they reiterate their interest and say thank you. In 2026, that is a wasted opportunity. The strategic pivot is the moment you transition from talking about your past to talking about their future. You have already proven you are a high performer through your SOAR paragraphs. Now, you must prove that your trajectory perfectly intersects with the long-term strategic goals of the organization providing the funding. If you can show them that you are the missing piece in a puzzle they are trying to solve in 2027 or 2028, you move from being a qualified applicant to being an essential partner. Historical trends in U.S. philanthropy show that major foundations, such as the Ford Foundation or the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, operate on 5-year or 10-year strategic cycles. In 2026, many of these organizations are halfway through their 2030 vision statements. Your job is to find those statements and mirror their future. You are not just looking for their current mission. You are looking for their stated aspirations for the next 3 years. This requires forensic research. You search for terms like 2027 Strategic Roadmap, 2028 Impact Goals, or Chairman's Vision 2030. When you find these documents, you look for the specific language they use to describe the problems they haven't solved yet. Imagine a student named Liam from Philadelphia. Liam is a junior studying urban planning and civil engineering. He is applying for a prestigious scholarship from a fictional but realistic organization called the Atlantic Urban Futures Initiative. While other applicants are talking about how much they like building bridges, Liam finds a press release from late 2025 where the initiative announced a massive shift toward resilient coastal infrastructure in response to rising sea levels forecasted for 2028. The initiative explicitly stated that they are looking to fund innovators who can integrate traditional engineering with sustainable modular housing. Liam's pivot paragraph looks like this. While my past work has focused on municipal bridge maintenance in Philadelphia, I am acutely aware of the Atlantic Urban Futures Initiative's 2027 commitment to the Coastal Resilience Pilot Program. Your organization has correctly identified that the intersection of modular housing and flood mitigation engineering is the next frontier for East Coast urbanism. My proposed research in 2027 and 2028 directly addresses the scalability issues mentioned in your recent white paper on coastal displacement. By providing this funding, you are not just supporting a student. You are investing in a researcher who is already aligned with your 2028 benchmarks for community-led infrastructure. This is the peak of scholarship writing. Liam has done something 99% of applicants never do. He has shown the committee that he has read their internal strategy and that his career is a vehicle for their success. Potential outcomes for Liam include being flagged as a high-value candidate because he reduces the perceived risk for the foundation. They know their money will go towards someone who is already working on the exact problems they have promised their board of directors they will solve by 2030. To execute this, you need a step-by-step detail on the future mapping technique. First, identify the 3 pillars of the scholarship provider's future vision. These are usually found in the president's letter in the annual report. Second, pick the pillar that most closely aligns with your major or career goals. Third, use a bridge phrase to connect your evidence to that pillar. Examples of bridge phrases include, "This experience in grassroots organizing provides the foundation for me to contribute to your 2027 goal of," or "Having mastered the technical aspects of CRISPR technology, I am now focused on the ethical implementation frameworks highlighted in your 2028 roadmap." Let's look at another case study involving a student named Sophia from Seattle. Sophia is a medical student applying for a health equity scholarship. She discovers that the awarding body recently partnered with a tech firm to expand telemedicine in rural Appalachia starting in 2027. Sophia's past experience is in urban clinics, but she realizes she can pivot. She writes, "My work in Seattle's underserved clinics has taught me the logistical hurdles of patient follow-up. I am eager to apply these insights to your foundation's upcoming 2027 rural telemedicine expansion. I see my future residency as a testing ground for the hybrid care models your organization is championing for the late 2020s. Sophia has successfully bridged her urban experience to their rural future. She has made herself relevant to their upcoming projects. This is where we discuss the concept of social return on investment, or SROI. In the competitive landscape of 2026, foundations are increasingly using data science to project the social impact of their scholarship recipients. They are asking, if we give this person $50,000 today, what is the measurable social benefit in 5 years? Your cover letter must provide the data for their calculation. You do this by being incredibly specific about your post-graduation roadmap. Avoid vague statements like "I want to make a difference." Instead say, "Upon completion of my master's in 2027, I intend to work with the National Health Service Corps to provide 3 years of service in a health professional shortage area, directly impacting an estimated 500 patients annually." When you provide a roadmap with specific dates like 2027, 2028, and 2029, you project an image of a student who is in total control of their career. This level of intentionality is rare and highly attractive to committees. It signals that you are a safe investment. Case studies of scholarship winners in the United States consistently show that the most successful candidates are those who view their education not as a destination, but as a prerequisite for a specific, pre-planned impact. Imagine if you are applying for a smaller local scholarship like a community foundation award in a small town in Ohio. You might think they don't have a 2030 vision. You would be wrong. Every community has a 5-year plan or a town council vision. You find it. You look at the town's 2027 economic development goals. If the town wants to revitalize its downtown district, and you are studying architecture, you tell them how you want to bring your skills back to that specific district. You show them that the scholarship money stays in the community and grows. This is the ultimate form of local alignment. We also need to address the narrative of partnership. In the past, cover letters were written in a tone of supplication, as if the student were a beggar asking for crumbs. In 2026, the tone must be one of mutualism. You are a high potential asset, and they are a high value resource. When these two things meet, incredible things happen. Use language that suggests this partnership. Phrases like "I am eager to represent the brand as I embark on my 2027 research," or "I see a natural synergy between my work in renewable energy and your foundation's commitment to," are powerful because they position you as an ambassador, not just a recipient. As you finalize this pivot, you have built a bridge from the reviewer's current problem, finding a great candidate, to their future success, meeting their 2028 goals. You have proven you have the skills, you have provided the evidence, and you have shown them the roadmap. The reviewer is now convinced that you are the right person. But there is one final hurdle. You have to end the letter with a closing that is so professional, so polished, and so confident that it leaves no room for doubt. In the next part, we are going to deconstruct the high-stakes closing and the call to action. We will look at why sincerely is no longer enough in 2026. We will explore the specific way to phrase your final paragraph so that it invites the reviewer to the interview table without sounding desperate. We will also cover the technical details of formatting, signatures, and the hidden power of the postscript. You have built the bridge. Now it is time to walk across it and claim the prize. In Part 6, we finalize the document and prepare it for the eyes of the most critical committees in the country. The final paragraph of your scholarship cover letter is not a conclusion. It is a closing argument. In the legal world, a closing argument is where the attorney ties every piece of evidence together to make a verdict feel inevitable. In the scholarship world of 2026, your final paragraph is where you transition from an applicant to a colleague. Most students treat this section as a place to be polite, using phrases like "thank you for your time" and "I look forward to hearing from you." While polite, these phrases are passive. They place the power entirely in the hands of the committee and signal a lack of confidence in the partnership you just proposed. To stand out, you must use a high-stakes closing that reinforces your value proposition and includes a low-friction call to action. Historical trends in human resources and academic admissions suggest that the recency effect plays a massive role in decision-making. The recency effect is a cognitive bias where people remember the most recently presented information better than the information presented in the middle. If your letter starts strong but ends with a generic, weak whimper, the reviewer's lasting impression of you will be one of mediocrity. You must finish with the same intellectual energy you used in your hook. This means your final paragraph should do three things: summarize the synergy, state the immediate next step, and leave them with a final, lingering thought on the impact of their investment. Let's look at a case study of Kevin from Phoenix, Arizona. It is May 2026, and Kevin is applying for the Aerospace Innovation Award. His body paragraphs have already detailed his work on drone delivery systems for medical supplies in rural areas. His closing paragraph does not just say thanks. Instead, he writes, "My 2027 research objectives at the University of Arizona are designed to bridge the gap between autonomous flight and emergency medical response times." By awarding this scholarship, the Aerospace Innovation Foundation is not just funding a student. You are accelerating a 2028 pilot program that has the potential to reduce delivery times for life-saving supplies by 30% in Maricopa County. I would welcome the opportunity to discuss how my technical roadmap aligns with your foundation's recent commitment to rural healthcare infrastructure. This is a masterclass in the high-stakes closing. Kevin has reminded them of the specific data point 30%. He has mentioned a specific future date, 2028, and he has framed the interview as a discussion of mutual alignment rather than a plea for money. This shift in power dynamics is subtle but incredibly effective. It suggests that Kevin is going to do this work regardless, but with their funding, it will happen faster and better. Potential outcomes for an applicant using this strategy include being perceived as a high-potential leader who is already operating at a professional level. Now let's talk about the call to action, or CTA. In a sales environment, a CTA is a direct instruction to the customer. In a scholarship cover letter, a CTA is an invitation to further the conversation. In 2026, committees are looking for candidates who are comfortable in professional settings. Instead of saying "I hope to be interviewed," try "I look forward to the possibility of discussing my background and future goals with the committee during the interview phase." Or, even better, "I am available for a meeting or a virtual interview to provide further details on how my upcoming project in late 2026 will contribute to the Foundation's long-term mission." This tells the committee that you are ready, you are professional, and you understand the process. Beyond the text, we must address the technical integrity and formatting of the document. In the digital-first environment of 2026, your cover letter will likely be viewed on a high-resolution tablet or a large monitor. This means visual fatigue is a real factor. If your margins are too small or your font is too cramped, the reviewer will subconsciously resent the effort required to read your letter. Use a standard 1-inch margin on all sides. Use a professional, highly legible sans serif font like Inter, Roboto, or a classic serif like Georgia if the foundation is more traditional. Avoid Times New Roman. In 2026, it is seen as the default font of the uninspired. One of the most overlooked aspects of the scholarship cover letter is the PDF naming convention. Imagine you are a reviewer and you download 50 letters. 40 of them are named cover_letter.pdf or scholarship_application.pdf. 10 of them are named 2026_last name_first name_scholarship name.pdf. Which one is easier to find? Which applicant looks like they have more attention to detail? Historical trends show that students who treat the file name as part of the branding process are consistently rated higher on professional competence. It is a small detail that signals a high level of situational awareness. Step by step, let's look at the digital signature. A typed name is the bare minimum, but in 2026, a scanned handwritten signature added as an image file above your typed name provides a touch of authenticity and class that is missing from 95% of applications. It shows that you took the extra 5 minutes to make the document feel personal. Underneath your signature, include your LinkedIn profile URL and your professional portfolio link if applicable. Ensure these links are hyperlinked. If a reviewer is impressed by your letter, you want to make it as easy as possible for them to click a link and see the evidence of your work. This is the 2026 version of a digital handshake. Now let's discuss the secret weapon. The postscript, or PSI tracking studies in the mid-2020s have shown that the PS is often the second thing a person reads after the first sentence. Because it sits outside the main block of text, the human eye is naturally drawn to it. You can use this to your advantage to drop one last high-impact fact or a personal touch that didn't fit in the formal narrative. Imagine if Kevin from Phoenix added PS. I recently learned that the Foundation's founder, Dr. Aris, began her career in the same laboratory where I will be conducting my 2027 research. It would be an honor to continue that legacy of innovation. This PS does two things. First, it proves that Kevin did deep research into the Foundation's history. Second, it creates a personal, emotional connection with the legacy of the organization. It is the final nail in the coffin of his competition. He has moved from a name on a page to a person with a connection to their history. When you use the PS effectively, you are leveraging a psychological loophole to ensure your most important or most human point is seen even by the most hurried reviewer. Think about a student named Sarah from Ohio. She is applying for a scholarship from a local environmental group. Her closing is solid, her formatting is perfect, and she includes a PS that says PS. I am currently finalizing a white paper on local water table fluctuations that I would be happy to share with the committee upon request. This PS creates a massive open loop. Now the committee is curious. They want to see the paper. They have a reason to contact her. This is how you manufacture engagement. As we wrap up this deep dive into the closing and formatting, you now have a document that is psychologically primed to win. You have the hook, the evidence, the future pivot, the high-stakes closing, and the technical polish. Your letter is a cohesive, professional package that stands head and shoulders above the generic templates your peers are using. But even the best letter can be undermined if the rest of the application package doesn't match its quality. In the next part, we are going to look at the echo effect. We will discuss how to ensure your cover letter, your resume, and your letters of recommendation work together as a synchronized narrative. We will look at the exact instructions you need to give your recommenders in 2026 to ensure their letters reinforce the specific claims you made in your cover letter. You have written the script. Now we need to make sure the entire cast is playing the same role. The individual components are ready. Now it is time to build the unstoppable application ecosystem. The echo effect is the psychological phenomenon where a selection committee feels an increasing sense of certainty as they see the same high-level narrative repeated across different documents from different sources. In 2026, a scholarship cover letter does not exist in a vacuum. It is the lead singer of an ensemble cast, and if the rest of the cast, your resume, your letters of recommendation, and your digital footprint, is singing a different tune, the entire performance falls apart. We are now entering the phase of narrative congruence. This is the secret weapon of the most successful applicants in the United States. When a reviewer moves from your cover letter to your resume, and then to a recommendation letter from your professor, they should feel like they are uncovering different layers of the same consistent truth. Historical trends in elite academic admissions show that committees are no longer just looking for high achievers. They are looking for authentic ones. In an era where AI can generate a perfect-sounding cover letter in seconds, the only way a committee can verify your claims is through the echo effect. If you claim in your cover letter to be a pioneer in sustainable urban farming, but your resume lists your primary experience as a retail clerk with no mention of agricultural projects, the discrepancy creates cognitive dissonance. The reviewer begins to doubt your hook, your evidence, and your vision. To avoid this, we must build an application ecosystem where every document serves as a witness to your primary narrative. Imagine a student named Brandon from a small town in Michigan. It is the fall of 2026, and Brandon is applying for a highly competitive public policy scholarship focused on rural digital infrastructure. In his cover letter, Brandon has used the techniques we discussed. He has a hook about the 2025 broadband failure in his county. He has SOAR paragraphs about a community mesh network he helped build. And he has a pivot toward a 2027 goal of working with the FCC. Now, Brandon has to ensure the echo effect is in place. First, Brandon looks at his resume. Most students leave their resume as a static list of jobs. Brandon treats it as a supporting document. He goes to his experience section and ensures that the bullets for his volunteer work at the community center use the exact same keywords found in the scholarship's mission statement: digital equity, infrastructure resilience, and multi-stakeholder collaboration. He makes sure the metrics in his resume perfectly match the metrics in his cover letter. If his letter says he helped 400 households, his resume must say 400 households. In 2026, many committees use cross-referencing software to flag quantitative discrepancies between documents. Even a small mistake can lead to a potential outcome where your application is disqualified for lack of integrity. Next, Brandon approaches the most difficult part of the ecosystem: the letters of recommendation. In the past, students would simply ask a teacher, "Will you write me a letter?" and hope for the best. In 2026, that is a strategy for failure. Professors and mentors are busy, and they often default to generic praise like "Brandon is a hard worker and a pleasure to have in class." This is the kiss of death for a high-stakes application. To create the echo effect, Brandon provides his recommenders with what we call a briefing document or a brag sheet. This briefing document is a one-page guide that helps the recommender help the student. Brandon doesn't tell the professor what to write, but he provides the ingredients. The document includes a summary of the scholarship's core values, a copy of the cover letter Brandon has already written, and 3 specific anecdotes that Brandon would like the professor to potentially highlight. For example, Brandon reminds his professor about the time he stayed after class for 3 weeks to debug a network simulation that was outside the scope of the syllabus. By providing this specific detail, Brandon is making it easy for the professor to write a letter that echoes the cover letter's claim of technical persistence. When the reviewer reads Brandon's cover letter, and then reads a professor's letter that tells the same story from a different perspective, the narrative becomes bulletproof. Step by step, here is how you build your own recommender briefing document. Start with a section titled Scholarship Context. Briefly explain what the award is and what they are looking for. Follow this with a section called Narrative Alignment. List the 3 key themes you are emphasizing in your application, such as community leadership, technical innovation, or ethical advocacy. The third section is the most important: evidence reminders. List 3 specific interactions you had with that recommender that demonstrate those themes. For a professor, it might be a specific research paper or a challenging classroom debate. For a supervisor, it might be a specific project you managed under pressure. Finally, provide a clear timeline with the submission link and the deadline. This level of professional organization signals to your recommender that you are serious, which often results in a more enthusiastic and detailed letter. We must also consider the digital echo. In 2026, it is standard practice for U.S. scholarship committees to conduct a brief digital audit of finalists. This doesn't just mean checking for red flags on social media. It means looking for professional social proof. If you claim to be an expert in a specific niche in your cover letter, your LinkedIn profile should reflect that niche. Imagine if the committee Googles you and finds a LinkedIn headline that is still set to student at university. It contradicts the image of the high potential leader you presented in your letter. Your digital presence should act as an extension of your cover letter. Your LinkedIn featured section should include the same projects or white papers you mentioned in your SOAR paragraphs. This creates a 360-degree environment of credibility. Case studies of scholarship winners at institutions like Stanford and MIT in the mid-2020s show that the most successful candidates have a cohesive brand. They don't try to be everything to everyone. They choose one clear identity and they reinforce it across every touchpoint. This is the power of the narrative ecosystem. You are not just submitting a pile of papers. You are presenting a unified case study of your own potential. Let's look at an imagine-if scenario involving a student named Chloe, who is applying for an arts and humanities grant. Chloe's cover letter is about the intersection of classical literature and modern AI ethics. To create the echo effect, she ensures her resume lists her minor in philosophy alongside her major in computer science. She asks her English professor to speak specifically about her analytical depth, and her CS professor to speak about her ethical considerations. Finally, she updates her personal website to feature an essay on the very topic she discussed in her hook. When the committee reviews her file, they don't see a student with disjointed interests. They see a specialized pioneer whose entire ecosystem points toward the same goal. One technical detail that is often missed is the timing of these documents. To ensure a perfect echo, you should finish your cover letter at least 3 weeks before the deadline. This gives you time to distribute your briefing document to your recommenders, so they can align their letters with your final draft. If you send your recommenders a draft that you later change significantly, you risk creating a narrative clash. Synchronization requires a structured timeline. As we conclude this part on the application ecosystem, you should realize that your cover letter is the script that the rest of your application must follow. When the resume, the recommendations, and the digital profile all say the same thing, you create a sense of inevitability in the mind of the reviewer. They stop asking if you are the right candidate and start asking how they can best support your vision. You have built the narrative, you have gathered the witnesses, and you have aligned the evidence. But there is still one final critical phase. Even the most synchronized application can be derailed by a lack of technical precision or a failure to survive the final human and AI editing rounds. In the next part, we are going to enter the red ink phase. We will discuss the sophisticated editing techniques for 2026, including how to pass the AI detection filters while maintaining a deeply human voice. We will look at the 10-point audit you must perform on your final draft to ensure it is grammatically perfect and psychologically optimized for a high-speed review. The ecosystem is built. Now it is time to polish it until it shines. In Part 8, we move from creation to perfection. The transition from creation to perfection requires a shift in your psychological state. You must stop being your own biggest fan and start being your own most ruthless critic. In 2026, the editing phase is no longer just about catching typos. It is about navigating the uncanny valley of professional writing. As AI-integrated tools become standard in every student's workflow, selection committees in the United States have developed a heightened sensitivity to writing that feels too smooth, too predictable, or too synthetic. If your letter sounds like a perfect, polished machine, it will be treated like a machine-generated document. Ignored. To get noticed in 2026, your letter needs human texture. It needs the grit of real experience and the specific rhythm of a human voice. Welcome to the red ink phase. We are going to deconstruct your draft using a series of high-precision filters designed to remove the fluff and amplify the impact. The first filter is the vocalized reading technique. This is the most underrated tool in a writer's arsenal. You must read your cover letter out loud, but not to yourself. Read it to a friend, a mentor, or even a recording device. When we read silently, our brains automatically correct awkward phrasing and fill in logical gaps. When we speak the words, the friction becomes obvious. If you find yourself running out of breath in the middle of a sentence, that sentence is too long. If you stumble over a transition, that transition is weak. Historical trends in rhetorical analysis show that the most persuasive documents have a musicality to them. They use a mix of short, punchy sentences to make a point and longer, complex sentences to provide evidence. Imagine a student named Olivia from Seattle. Olivia is applying for a 2026 Biotech Leadership Scholarship. Her first draft is technically perfect but reads like a textbook. She has sentences that are all roughly the same length, 15 to 20 words. This creates a monotonous drone that puts a reviewer's brain to sleep. During her red ink phase, Olivia applies the syntactic variety rule. She breaks up her long descriptions with short, 5-word declarations. Instead of writing, "I am very interested in the way that data science can be applied to genomic research to improve patient outcomes in rural areas," she writes, "Data saves lives. Genomic research is the tool. I am the architect." This sudden change in rhythm acts as a psychological wake-up call for the reviewer. It forces them to pay attention to her most important claims. The second filter is the axe the adjectives rule. In the high-stakes environment of 2026, adjectives are often viewed as a sign of a weak argument. If you have to tell the committee you are a passionate leader, it is because your story didn't prove it. Your goal is to replace every abstract adjective with a concrete noun or a high-impact verb. Instead of saying you are a dedicated volunteer, describe the 50 consecutive Saturdays you spent at the clinic. Instead of saying you are an innovative thinker, describe the Python script you wrote to automate the scheduling process. Potential outcomes for students who favor verbs over adjectives include a significantly higher rating on the authenticity scale used by modern admissions software. This leads us to the 2026 AI Gatekeeper filter. Many major scholarship providers now use stylometric analysis to flag content that lacks human burstiness. Burstiness refers to the variation in sentence structure and length that is characteristic of human thought. AI tends to be very consistent, Humans are erratic. To pass this filter, you must lean into your unique perspective. Include a specific detail that an AI wouldn't know. A specific smell of the lab, a specific phrase a mentor once said to you, or a specific local landmark that influenced your work. These sensory details are the fingerprints of human authorship. Case studies of applicants who were flagged as robotic often reveal a lack of these specific, non-obvious details. Now let's implement the 10-point final audit. This is a rigorous line-by-line inspection of your document. Point 1 is the so what test. For every sentence in your letter, ask yourself, so what? If a sentence doesn't advance your narrative or prove your value, it is a distraction. Point 2 is the active voice audit. Search your document for the words was, were, and been. These often signal the passive voice which hides your agency. Change I was given the opportunity to lead to I led. Point 3 is the jargon threshold. You want enough technical language to prove competence to the subject matter expert, but not so much that you alienate the community representative. If a term requires a Wikipedia search to understand, simplify it unless it is core to your specific field. Point 4 is white space management. In 2026, visual accessibility is a requirement, not a suggestion. Large blocks of text are a barrier to entry. Ensure your paragraphs are no longer than 6 lines. If a paragraph is longer, find a natural breaking point. This makes the letter feel inviting and scannable. Point 5 is the I count. While this is your cover letter, you should avoid starting every sentence with the word I. This can make you seem self-centered. Use phrases like my research indicates or the community responded to instead of I saw that the community. Point 6 is the tone consistency check. Ensure you don't shift from highly formal to overly casual. Stay in the lane of professional partnership from the first word to the last. Point 7 is the metric verification. Double-check every number, date, and percentage. In the United States, 2026 is a year of extreme scrutiny regarding academic integrity. Even an accidental exaggeration of a statistic can be grounds for disqualification. Point 8 is the bridge verification. Does each paragraph naturally lead to the next? Use thematic transitions rather than chronological ones. Point 9 is the call to action clarity. Is it clear what you want the committee to do next? Ensure your closing is a definitive step forward. Finally, point 10 is the formatting integrity. Check your PDF for font embedding issues and ensure that your links are live and direct the user to the correct professional profiles. Imagine if you are a student like Marcus, whom we discussed earlier. Marcus has a strong draft, but in his final audit, he realizes he used the word passionate 4 times in 2 pages. He goes back and replaces those instances with specific examples of his work. He realizes his 3rd paragraph is 8 lines long, so he splits it to create more white space. He notices a passive sentence about his internship and changes it to reflect his active leadership. By the time he is done, the letter doesn't just look better, it feels more powerful. It has the weight of a professional document because it was forged through a professional editing process. As you finalize this red ink phase, you should feel a sense of confidence that your letter is technically flawless and psychologically optimized. You have survived the initial screening, you have hooked the human reviewer, and you have provided the evidence. But the cover letter is only the beginning of the interaction. If your letter is as good as we've made it, you are going to get an invitation to the next stage. Most students stop preparing once they hit submit. They think the hard part is over. But in 2026, the cover letter is just the ticket that gets you into the room. In the next part, we are going to explore the post-submission strategy. We will discuss the letter to interview bridge. We will look at how to maintain the momentum you've built in your writing and carry it into the virtual or in-person interview. We will cover the specific follow-up techniques that can solidify your standing in the final hours of the committee's decision-making process. You've polished the document to perfection. Now it's time to learn how to live up to the person you described on the page. In Part 9, we move from the page to the person. The moment you hit the submit button on a scholarship portal in 2026, a new clock starts ticking. For most applicants, this is where the effort ends. They enter a state of passive waiting, checking their email every few hours with a mix of anxiety and hope. But for the elite applicant, the submission is not the finish line. It is the beginning of the second phase of the narrative. This is the transition from the page to the person. In the high-stakes scholarship environment of the United States, your cover letter has successfully acted as your advocate in your absence. It has earned you a seat at the table. Now, your task is to ensure that the human being who walks through that door or appears on that screen is a perfectly calibrated expansion of the person described on the page. We begin with the concept of narrative anchoring. Imagine a student named Jordan from Denver. It is June 2026, and Jordan has applied for the Western Sustainability Leadership Award, a scholarship funded by a coalition of energy companies. In his cover letter, Jordan used a specific hook about his work on decentralized solar grids in rural Colorado. He provided data on how his pilot program reduced local energy costs by 18%. The committee is impressed. When Jordan receives an invitation for a virtual interview, he faces a choice. Does he simply repeat the facts from his letter, or does he provide what we call the expansion pack? In 2026, historical trends in academic selection show that committees are looking for growth between the time of application and the time of the interview. If you are exactly the same person in the interview as you were in the letter you wrote 2 months ago, you are perceived as static. Jordan understands this. Before his interview, he spends a week gathering a strategic update. He goes back to his microgrid project and finds one new data point or one new challenge he has overcome since he submitted his application. During the interview, when asked about his project, he says, "As I noted in my cover letter, we achieved an 18% reduction in costs. However, in the 8 weeks since I submitted that letter, we have successfully integrated a new battery storage module that has pushed our reliability to 99% during peak hours." This is a masterclass in maintaining momentum. Jordan has validated the information in his cover letter, which builds trust, but he has also shown that he is a dynamic, high-velocity individual who is constantly moving forward. Potential outcomes for an applicant like Jordan include being viewed as a candidate who doesn't just meet goals but exceeds them in real time. You are proving that the trajectory you described in your letter is a current reality, not a historical anecdote. Now let's look at the professional follow-up. In the U.S. professional landscape of 2026, the silence following an application is an opportunity for a strategic touchpoint. We are not talking about a desperate email asking if a decision has been made. That signals insecurity. Instead, we are looking for a value-add follow-up. About 10 days after your submission, if the timeline allows, you send a brief, 3-sentence email to the scholarship coordinator. You cite a specific, relevant news event that connects to the themes in your cover letter. Imagine if Jordan sends this. "I am writing to briefly share a recent white paper from the Department of Energy that directly addresses the coastal resilience issues I highlighted in my cover letter for the Western Sustainability Award. I found their data on modular grids particularly relevant to the 2027 roadmap I proposed, and I wanted to ensure the committee had access to this updated context. Thank you for your continued consideration." This email does 3 things. It reminds the committee of his name without being a nuisance. It reinforces his status as a subject matter expert who is actively engaged with his field. And it proves that his interest in the scholarship is tied to a genuine passion for the work, not just a need for the funding. Step by step, let's deconstruct the interview letter bridge. First, you must memorize your own cover letter. It sounds obvious, but in the stress of an interview, many students forget the specific anecdotes they used. If you told a story about a specific failure in your letter, you must be prepared to discuss the long-term lessons of that failure in the interview. Second, you prepare 3 deep dive stories. These are stories that were too long or too technical for the cover letter but provide the evidence for the claims you made. If your letter claimed you are a resilient leader, your interview story should provide the granular, minute-by-minute details of that resilience. Third, you must master the 2026 virtual presence. Many scholarships in the U.S. have moved to a hybrid model where the first round is a recorded video response or a live virtual meeting. Your background, your lighting, and your audio quality are now part of your cover letter's professional brand. If your letter was a polished, high-level business proposal, but your interview background is a messy dorm room with poor lighting, you are creating a narrative clash. You are contradicting the image of the professional leader you worked so hard to build. Case studies of candidates who were rejected at the final stage often cite a lack of professional maturity in the interview process compared to the high quality of the written application. This leads us to the thank you note as a strategic document. In 2026, a thank you note is not just a courtesy. It is your final chance to edit your cover letter. You have 24 hours after the interview to send this. In it, you reference a specific moment from the conversation. You might say, "I particularly enjoyed our discussion regarding the ethical implications of AI in agriculture. It reinforced the vision I outlined in my cover letter for a more transparent tech framework in 2028. You are literally tying the interview back to the letter, closing the loop on your narrative. This creates a sense of completion. The committee feels that they have met the person from the page, and that person exceeded their expectations. One technical detail to consider is the concept of the artifact. In an interview, whether in person or virtual, you should be prepared to show something. If you mention a specific project, have a prototype, a chart, or a photo ready. This is the physical proof of your cover letter's claims. In 2026, being able to screen share a data dashboard or hold up a technical model provides a level of credibility that words alone cannot achieve. It turns a theoretical conversation into a tangible investment opportunity. Think about a student named Maya who is applying for a nursing scholarship. In her letter, she wrote about her goal to work in rural health. During her interview, she mentions a specific rural clinic she visited just the week before. She has a photo of the clinic's outdated intake system on her phone. She explains how the scholarship would help her bring the digital solutions she proposed in her letter to that specific location. Maya has moved from a student with an idea to a professional with a target. She has bridged the gap between the page and the person with absolute precision. As we move toward the finalization of your scholarship journey, you must realize that the cover letter was the key that opened the door, but your ability to live up to that letter is what will secure the funding. You have built a narrative of excellence, resilience, and vision. You have synchronized your ecosystem and polished your prose. Now, you have the tools to handle the transition with the same level of strategic intentionality. But there is one final piece of the puzzle. Every masterclass needs a final check. Before you walk into that interview, before you send that final follow-up, you need the ultimate submission checklist. In the final part of this series, we are going to perform the final 100-yard sprint. We will look at the common pitfalls that trip up even the best candidates in the final hours. We will cover the psychological hacks to manage interview anxiety and the technical final checks for your digital presence. We will also summarize the entire 10-part system into a single executable workflow that you can use for every scholarship application for the rest of your academic career. You have the skills. Now it is time to cross the finish line and claim the future you have so carefully written for yourself. In Part 10, we bring it all home. Crossing the finish line is where most people trip, not because they lack the ability, but because they lose their focus in the final 100 yards. In 2026, the technical and psychological barriers in the final stage of a scholarship application are higher than they have ever been. You have done the research, built your ecosystem, and polished your prose to a high shine. Now we enter the phase of absolute precision. We are going to execute the ultimate submission checklist, a rigorous 10-point protocol that ensures your application is not just completed, but optimized for the 2026 landscape. The first step in this final sprint is the metadata scrub. Imagine a student named Taylor from Chicago who is applying for the Midwest Leadership Fellowship. Taylor has spent weeks on her cover letter, but she originally started it using a template her older brother gave her from 2022. When she saves her document as a PDF and sends it, the scholarship committee's digital dashboard sees the internal file properties. In the author field, it shows her brother's name. In the created date field, it shows March 2022. This small technical oversight immediately signals to the reviewer that this document might not be original or current. In 2026, selection committees at institutions like the University of Michigan use automated intake systems that flag these discrepancies. Before you submit, you must go into your file properties and ensure the metadata is clean. The author should be you, and the creation date should be 2026. This is the digital equivalent of making sure there are no coffee stains on a paper application. Next, we address the 2026 accessibility standard. Many scholarship reviewers now use text-to-speech software to get through their massive reading loads while commuting or multitasking. If your PDF is not OCR optimized, meaning the text is not recognizable as characters, but is instead saved as a flat image, their software will fail to read it. This is an immediate disqualification in many high-stakes pools. To test this, try to highlight a single word in your PDF. If you can't select the text, neither can the committee's AI or their accessibility tools. Use a high-quality PDF exporter to ensure your document is fully searchable and readable by any machine or human interface. Now let's talk about the 48-hour cooling period. Historical trends in academic writing suggest that our brains become blind to our own errors after prolonged exposure. This is called cognitive tunneling. Imagine if Alex from Seattle finishes his final draft at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, with the deadline at midnight. He is tired, his adrenaline is spiking, and his brain is filling in the gaps of what it expects to see. He hits submit, only to realize the next morning that he misspelled the name of the scholarship in the very first paragraph. To prevent this, elite applicants in 2026 use the 48-hour rule. You finish your final, polished version 2 days before the deadline. You close the file and do not look at it for 48 hours. When you open it again on the morning of the deadline, you are looking at it with the eyes of a stranger. You will see the awkward phrasing and the missing commas that were invisible to you 48 hours prior. During this cooling period, we must perform the narrative echo audit. This is where you lay out your cover letter, your resume, and your personal statement side by side. In 2026, committees are looking for a holographic consistency. If your cover letter mentions a specific 2025 project involving 500 hours of community service, but your resume lists it as 450 hours, you have created a trust gap. Every number, every date, and every title must match across all documents. This is the moment where you verify that your ecosystem is perfectly synchronized. Let's look at the submission email itself, a component many students ignore. In the United States, your submission email is the handshake before the letter. It should be brief, professional, and signal your high-value brand. Imagine Taylor from Chicago sends an email with the subject line scholarship application. This is a missed opportunity. Instead, her subject line reads, 2026 Fellowship Application, Taylor Smith, Urban Innovation Focus. The body of the email should be 3 sentences. 1 to state what is attached, 1 to express gratitude for the committee's time, and 1 to reiterate her contact information. It is clean, it is professional, and it matches the high-energy tone of the cover letter she has attached. Case studies of successful applicants in the mid-2020s show a fascinating correlation between submission timing and success rates. While there is no such thing as a guaranteed win, historical trends indicate that applications submitted 24 to 48 hours before the deadline are often perceived more favorably than those submitted in the final 60 minutes. Why? Because last-minute submissions are often associated with procrastination and rushed work. A student who submits early signals that they are in control of their schedule and that their work has been thoughtfully prepared. This is a subtle psychological green flag for the committee. We also need to discuss the post-submission psychological pivot. Once you hit submit, you must move into a state of strategic detachment. In the competitive environment of 2026, your mental health is as important as your academic record. If you spend the next 3 weeks obsessing over the outcome, you will be in no state to perform well if you are called for an interview. The most successful applicants use a Plan B mindset. They assume they will not get this specific award and immediately start working on the next application or project. This detachment actually makes you a better candidate. When you finally do get that interview invite, you will approach it from a place of confidence and abundance rather than desperation. You have already moved on to the next goal, which makes you more attractive to the committee. Step by step, let's summarize the final workflow for the day of submission. First, do one final check of the scholarship's website to ensure no requirements have changed at the last minute. Second, run your document through a final 2026 grade spell checker and a grammar auditor. Third, verify that all links in your document are active and point to the correct digital portfolios or LinkedIn profiles. Fourth, check the file size. Some portals have a 2 megabytes limit. If your high-resolution signature or image has made the file 10 megabytes, you need to compress it before the clock runs out. Finally, take a screenshot of the submission confirmation page. Technical glitches happen, and in 2026, having a timestamp confirmation is your only insurance policy against a server error. As we bring this deep dive masterclass to a close, you have transitioned from someone who just wants a scholarship to someone who has mastered the art of professional persuasion. You have deconstructed the hook, the SOAR framework, the strategic pivot, and the narrative ecosystem. You have learned to write for both the AI scanners and the human hearts in the room. You have used the tools of 2026 to build a document that is resilient, authentic, and undeniably professional. This cover letter is no longer just a piece of paper. It is a manifestation of your future potential. But what happens after the win? Securing the funding is just the start of your journey as a brand ambassador for these prestigious organizations. In the next phase of your career, you will need to learn how to manage these relationships to unlock even larger opportunities in 2027 and 2028. The skills you have learned here, the research, the alignment, the high-stakes closing, are the same skills you will use to negotiate your first 6-figure salary and lead your first major projects. While this concludes our deep dive into the scholarship cover letter, there is a much larger conversation to be had about what comes next. How do you maintain this professional momentum once you are on campus? How do you turn a one-time scholarship into a lifelong network of mentors and investors? We are just scratching the surface of what it means to build a high ROI career in the late 2020s. Stay tuned as we prepare to explore the next frontier of professional development, navigating the high-stakes financial aid negotiations of 2027. The money is on the table. Now it is time for you to go and get it.